Okay. Thanks for the confirmation, Kasam. Hello, everyone. I think you people are survivors who have been in the event since morning and who has been going through a lot of sessions. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for staying into this session. A bit about myself. My name is Mohit Chhabra, and I work as a global cloud operations lead in a company called Configure GmbH in Germany. I I blog on a site called AzureGuy.in, and I'm a Microsoft MVP for Azure. So I've been working with Azure since last almost 7, 8 years now, and I've seen the shift from classic Azure to the Azure that it is right now. And throughout this my career, it's been a roller coaster journey, I would say, working on Azure and making sure that I'm on top of the new technologies or the changes that is happening in the market right now. And having associated with these kind of events is one of the reasons that I have been able to get on top of it, because I get to present on different topics and I get to learn from different speakers about different new trends that is happening in the market, which is very difficult to keep a track. And I think all of you guys are real heroes because you are someone who is spending time on their weekend to learn on different technologies around AI for today, but there can be different events, and then you guys come up, and that motivates us to join this kind of sessions and then present it to the community. Today, I'm going to talk about building a virtual assistant with Azure AI. What does it means? So, I'm personally a big fan of Marvel Universe. So I used to watch Iron Man as a child, and then I saw something called Jarvis, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I need that because I was a younger sibling in the house, so it's always like that you are the person that who has to do the work because your elder siblings always tells you to do it. But I needed someone to do the work for me. I need my own assistant because I've been acting as an assistant for my sibling. So I thought Jarvis is pretty cool, and I immediately loved it in Iron Man. And fast forward few years later, today I'm going to see that how we can build something like Jarvis at home. And as a software developer, it gives us the power of building something and then elaborating something with the power of Azure in the background. So coming to my PPT, one second. Yeah. So what is the use of a voice assistant? There are different kind of virtual assistant that we can have, but I'm going to mostly focus on voice assistant because I told you about the Jarvis theory that I have been fascinated with as a child. And I think we already have a session on bot framework where Hatim, who's a childhood friend of mine, who have already told you about how to build a bot. So I'm not going to go into that, but I'm going to go into the voice assistant part of it without covering or overlapping the same stuff that be already being covered by Hatim. So just in case if you miss out the session from Hatim, the recordings will be available. Please go through it and then come back to my session later on to have more clarity. But I will try to give you some idea so that even if you don't know much about it, you will be able to grab something out of the session. So what is the use of voice assistant? Voice assistant, as you know, can be assistant which does some work for you on your voice commands. And we have seen that in the past few years it's been growing with Amazon Alexa in place, Siri in place, and then we have Cortana in place. But what happens is these are already pre-built voice assistants. But how about we need a voice assistant which does the task what we need them to do? Or how can we customize these voice assistant? So the use cases are enormous, I would say, and it can be easily used in media and entertainment industry or call centers or automotive or hospitality. For today, I am going to show you a demo on how we can use this voice assistant in a hospitality sector. So the overall ecosystem of running the voice-based virtual assistant is quite rich with Microsoft. We have a speech studio which can be accessible through speech.microsoft.com. I'm going to showcase it to you. If you don't know about it, don't worry about it. In our demo, we are going to go through it. You can have custom voice commands. You can have custom commands specifically to say to do some action, which we are going to look into deeper analysis today. You can have custom translator, which is very helpful for people like me because I've been living in Germany without knowing German. So it's been a tough ride, but I uses services like these to translate German into English. That is so that I will be able to understand. So there are a lot of capabilities that we have around speech ecosystem, and the possibilities are endless. But I just wanted to tell you that okay, we for today I'm just going to focus on custom commands in our demo. So talking about the whole virtual assistant world. So virtual assistant is again, sorry about this. Virtual assistant is also based on the bot framework, and the bot framework that you have been going through in the session with Hatim. So what is a virtual assistant? We know that virtual assistant is something that can help you out in doing some tasks or give you some sort of queries, like some sort of answers in a Q&A format, or do some actions for you. So it's built on top of board favorite, which has the C speech associated to it, which we are going to look into today. We can have a Q&A built in. You can have some sort of FAQs integrated with your bots so that your customers does not have to speak to a customer care representative, and their most of the queries can be resolved via a Q&A bot. We have a voice system in place. It's called Vanguard Understanding. I hope that Hatim would have covered it properly. We have Vision API, which can be used to identify the patch. And there are different things associated with it. One of them I would say is knowledge. Knowledge, as the name suggests, is a knowledge base associated to answer a query or to do some action. Like, for example, if you're integrating a FAQ, you need to have some sort of documentation associated with it from where your bot can query and then answer to the customer. Skills, as the name suggests, is a skills of what can be achieved or what can be done via the spot. It can be mails, it can be your task calendar. What does it means basically? Like if I have a bot which has a skill of mail, that means the my bot can send an email to my clients or internal IT. Similarly, it can assess calendars, book calendar meetings for you, or you can have different kind of third-party bots as well. So it can be easily integrated with APIs. It can be your Office Graph API, Azure AD API, or any third-party APIs as well. So if you have to call a third-party API and do some actions, it can also be considered as a skill associated with it. And you have to train your bot to work on those skills. So also from the input side, the input can be your touch gestures. It can be a tap. It can be you can type it. Your messages that okay, have a bot. I need this. Can you please help me? Or you can speak and then tell them that okay, this is what we want. Also, the one of the option is adaptive cards, which already have some sort of cards associated with the actions that a bot can perform. So it's easier for the user to identify and walk through the bot workflow. It can work with different kind of devices, be it your car, mobile phones, home automation, alarms, anything. So I am not going to go very deep into this because I have a lot to cover in the next 35 minutes. But I hope you understand what is a bot framework and why it's used. If not, you can feel free to reach out to me personally, and I will be able to answer all your queries. But I am going ahead with the assumption that you were able to understand the depth of it in the Hatim session, or you already know about it. So what are custom commands? Custom commands are basically a command that we basically put into our system to do some task for us. What does it mean? I would say that Siri, can you send a SMS to my friend stating that I am running late for dinner? Now this is a custom command. So we are saying, hey Siri, this is to activate. So this is a command that we have put in to activate the virtual assistant. Can you send? Now send is an action. Send what? A message to whom? My friend. Now my friend can be like that I am running late. Now this is the message that it has to go to. So this is a skill that can be accessed through a custom command. We have to design our bot to understand this custom command. In this scenario, when I'm talking about Siri, Apple would have already trained Siri to understand this custom command. Here the custom command is, can you send a message? So sending a message is a custom command. Similarly, we can have send a mail, right? So sending what? A mail. So this is also a custom command. So we have to train our bot or virtual assistant in this scenario to do some actions based on these kind of commands that can we identify that our customers will mostly need. So without further ado, I would like to jump into the demo. I would like to show you what are the possibilities and give you to give you a broader picture of what can be done with this kind of voice assistant and what can you do and how can you control a lot of automation with this kind of voice assistant. So I'm going to pause here for a minute so that you can go through this, maybe take a picture of this and then go through it later on whenever you have time. You can go through the sample from here. And I am going to jump back to the demo. So let me show this to you. One second. I have my demo over here. This is the same demo link that I have already showed it to you on GitHub, so you can go and down and clone that repository into your local machine. What I have done is I built a custom ARM template to deploy, but I'm going to tell you what it does and how it works. So you can go and then create all those stuff on your own. But if I start doing that, it's going to take a lot of time right now to go into different places and then create those stuff. Then we will not end up with much of time to do the explanation of the whole demo as well. So what I am doing over here is we are going to run a PowerShell script. I'm going to start with running the PowerShell script, but uh, then I'm going to come back here and then showcase it to you that what exactly we are doing, because it takes few minutes for the script to run. Meanwhile, we will come back and then I will give you more explanations on what exactly we are doing. So I have the PowerShell with me. I am going to go here. Voice assistant, custom commands, scripts. So some demos. Sorry, over here script. I will let me go here and then pull in my PowerShell window. I'm at the right place now. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, I have to run this deploy all PowerShell script. I'm going to show you what it does. Don't worry about it. But before we show it to you, I just want to start the execution of it. So let me come here. Hospitality demo. Uh, so what I'm doing over here is I am running this PowerShell script and passing some arguments to it. What are the arguments? I'm passing the app name as hospitality. Language that I'm using is the English US. Resource group name is hospitality demo. Let me put something AI boot camp, and I'm putting it in a West US region. So these are the parameters that it needs. So we are going to go and then do some deployments onto Azure. Then we'll tell you what all we are deploying for sure. Okay. So we are creating the source group right now. We are deploying this template. Meanwhile, let me go back to my slide and showcase it to you that what exactly we are doing. So if you can see my screen right now, we are deploying a lot of different components, and I will tell you what we are trying to do. The first thing is what we are trying to do is we are building a smart home or hospitality demo. What it does is we are going to control the rights or the TV or anything that is inside a room via voice commands. So we are going to say, for example, hey Jarvis, switch on the TV. So I hope it switch on the TV. Similarly, we are going to say that turn on the lights. So it will turn on the lights. So all this thing is going to be showcased in this demo. But I will tell you what are the different components that we have in Azure that we are deploying for this demo. The first component is coordinative services. As you all know, what is coordinative service? The coordinative service we are using for a few purpose. One of them is speech recognition and text to speech. So what we are going to do is also we are going to use speech to text. So we have to identify what I am saying because I will say turn on the TV. So it's a command that I'm going to give. But in order for this to understand what I'm saying as a command, turn on the TV, this is has to run through speech recognition and then converting this speech to text as a command. So we are using a coordinative service for that purpose. We are now creating a custom command services. This is the core for this demo, I would say. Uh, what is this custom command services? This is a new feature that came out last year. I am not sure what kind of features were there previously, to be honest. Uh, but with this, what you can say, you can have your custom command setup. Like I give you an example of send a SMS. So that is a custom command. Now you have to do this command somewhere, right? You have to set up this rule somewhere that what does this means? What will be the action that the bot has to say? Send a SMS is basically some command that I'm giving to the bot, but the bot has to do some action. The action is typing the SMS and then sending it, right? So similarly, when I will say in this demo that switch on the TV has to be switch on. So this is a command that I'm giving. So this command has an action associated with it. The action is to switch on the TV, right? So this is how we are going to design, and we are going to use this custom command services in Azure. It can be accessible through speech.studio.com. I'm going to showcase it to you about it. So don't worry if you're not able to understand what I'm saying right now, because everything is going to make sense after a few minutes. That's what I hope, to be honest. Then we have this Luis. So we have to train your system to work with views, and I don't want to get into details of views, but I hope you understand why it's used. Then we have a client application which have a speech SDK, because we have to test it. You have to send this commands from a client application to this place to understand. For example, when I'm saying that send a SMS for me to my Siri, right? To my mobile phone is my client, and then the Siri running on that mobile phone is the client application. Similarly, we need, if we are building something custom, we need a client application for sending this commands to Azure, and then do some actions accordingly. So over here, if you see, we have something called a completion rule in the custom command. What does it mean? It means that how do we complete this action? So how, when we say that the action is completed, uh, so what we will do over here is we have built a custom Azure function. This Azure function is part of the my sample that I put on GitHub. So, but I'm going to just give you a high level idea of what we are doing, and I'm going to give you I hope that you understand what is Azure function. If you don't, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction about Azure function. So Azure function is a serverless offering from Microsoft, which where you can put your code and then run it as a part of serverless offering. We are going to use it as a API. So we are going to make a API call here with a command. For example, we say switch on the TV. Now this someone has to listen it and then do some actions. That action will be done by this Azure function. Right now, in this demo, what we are going to do, we are going to run a web browser application where we are going to demonstrate a TV and a UI where you can see these things happening. But behind, and if you have to implement this in a actual term, you need to have some sort of Raspberry Pi or some sort of computing running where you can deploy this code and then connect your devices to it. But for this demo, I am replacing that part with a website that I have built. And what it does is we, whenever we are making a change over here, whenever you're saying, okay, switch on the TV, it's going to Azure storage and setting a value in the Azure storage table. From the table, we say that, okay, the TV is off, lights are on. Similarly, the curtains are off. So the value is something that is stored in the Azure table, and whatever application does is basically makes a call to this Azure table every second. So it's something like a polling. So we are constantly polling for the value change. If something change, something change, something change, then if something change, then update. And what we are doing behind the scene is we are just updating those files, the image files, to give you an idea, okay, that it has been updated, like it has been switched on or switched off. So for the people, this is basically to demonstrate that how a TV switched on would be look like, or how a TV switch off would be look like. But in a normal scenario, you will not use this web browser application, but instead of this, you can have Raspberry Pi controlling your actual devices. But the idea would still be same. You can still use Azure table for the querying of the state of the different services or different devices that you have, and then continue from there. Any question before we jump to the demo? Okay, I don't see any question right now, so I'm going to go back over here and see. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got some errors. We got some errors. I am not sure whether it's going to work out, but let's see. Anyhow, I have a backup demo to showcase it to you. It can act as a cookie show where I already have prepared the pies for you, and then I can show you the pies that baked uh, just before this demo started. So what I'm going to do is I have built this application. You can see the demo is visualized on this address. So let me copy this here, open a browser over here. So this is my sample room, the web browser application that I was telling you about in my previous slide. And we have to control this room via virtual assistant. So what we will do is I will take a moment to showcase you my slide. We have a voice assistant client that I personally like to use. I'm going to showcase you the another option that you can use, which is part of the speech studio. You can test it from there itself. I personally don't like that. That's my personal what do you say? It's my personal choice. You can continue to use that, or you can download this voice assistant. So this is just a client that Microsoft has built, and I have not done anything in it. It's just a simple application which uses this and then can uh, connect to your application on cloud. So I have it here with me. What I'm going to do, this is the thing that I was trying just before the session, but I have to connect to the new one. So I have to update these values over here. Let me showcase it to you once again. So if I come back over to my PowerShell screen, let me go here. Okay, 1 second. Let me close this guy. Yeah. From this application, we got few things. Uh, the few things that we got is the custom command apps ID. We created a custom command project. We need to have this ID for the application to understand that where or what uh, custom command application to connect to and then take the application from. We need a key for us to authenticate. This is all we need, and we need the reason where we are hosting this speech recognition services. So coming back to the demo, let me come over here and update these values. Subscription key, let me copy it from here. Copy. Custom command app ID. So we don't need any other things to be filled. This is the only things we need for this demo to work. I am applying. Let me reconnect. And now this is my client application that I was telling you about over here. This is my client application. The custom command that we built is we built it with our ARM template. I'm going to showcase it to you. How does it look like? But after showing you what's happening. So over here, and then we have this website running in this web browser. So coming back to the web client over here, and let me pull down this guy and hope it works, because we got some errors in the deployment that I didn't went through and read through what were the issues, but I hope it's going to work. Hello. I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear the Windows, uh, the speech that this bot is saying, this assistant is saying, but I think you guys are definitely able to see the screen. So turn on the AC. See if you see the AC. The AC has been turned on, so the demo is working. Turn on the TV. Now these are our custom commands that we have trained our assistant to work with. I'm going to showcase it to you what we have done. But after seeing this demo, it will make more sense for you what we are doing and why we are doing it. Turn on the lights. See, the lights has been turned on. Now what we are doing behind the scenes is we are just updating. We are fetching the data. So this application is pulling for the state from the Azure storage and is seeing what is the state of different components. And it's fetching the data for AC, for example, whether it should be switch on or switch off. Similarly, whether the TV is switch on or switch off. Similarly, the lights have been turned on or turned off. So we have a temperature setup as well. Can you raise the temperature, please? Maybe 75. Can you increase the temperature by 5 degrees then? Okay, if you saw it properly, it the temperature over here changed from 70 to 75. Now, of course, this is not a actual thing that is happening in an actual room. This is just to showcase you the capabilities of what can be done. In a normal setup, you will be able to control this with your Raspberry Pi, and then you can switch on the or switch off your TV, ACs, or any of your smart devices with this setup. But the idea would still be the same, that you are talking to the voice assistant and you have trained the voice assistant to do the task accordingly with your custom commands. So turn off the TV. Yep. So let me now go to the actual commands center and then showcase it to you. Give me 1 second. So we have created a this demo. We are calling it a hospitality demo command. So this is what I was telling you in the PPT, that what we can do. We have this composer over here where you can directly compose from a web browser as well, and then train your models to work on these custom commands accordingly. So I'm going to we have trained it for different commands. For example, fallback command, what as the name suggests is a fallback. If the assistant is not able to understand what we want it to do, then we are going to run this fallback setup. This is our turn off, on and off. I'm going to look into it and I'm going to showcase it to you. But similarly, we have this help. What can I do and all that stuff. This is the basic help that a bot can do. Uh, Greetings, hello, how are you? How's it going? Just training it for basic greetings. For the another thing that I showed you about is was about adjusting the temperature. So you heard that the temperature do this operation, and then I'm going to go through it and then tell you. But these are the commands that we give and we get some response out of it. Similarly, we have an option of opening and closing the lids on the side to make sure that it's like curtains which you can close automatically. But with the main demos that I've showed you right now is regarding switching on, turning on the TV or turning on the lights and all that stuff. So let me show you what are we exactly doing over there. So here we give some sort of example sentences, what this application would be expecting it to do. So we say turn it on, off. So these are two options. Either we can say turn on, off. Here we have on, off. which we are going to tell you about what are the input values and all that stuff. So I'm going to come to it. But similarly, mm, turn the subject device on and off. So here I was saying turn the TV off. So subject device over here would be on and off. Now we can have context as well. Like if we are talking about TV, so the context is TV. Uh, so if we turn it on, so it can work out on those scenarios because we said to turn it off previously. So we basically train it for different kind of scenarios over here, and then expect it to work accordingly. But what are the subject devices? Subject devices over here, we are saying that TV, these are the input options. We have TV, we have AC, we have lights for turning on and off. These are three things that we switched on and off. We can say TV and television are same thing, AC and air conditioner are same thing, lights can be light as well. So we are expecting as a string for this parameter. Similarly, we have another parameter on and off because we can either say turn on the TV or turn off the TV. So that is also a parameter that we are sending it as a voice command to the system, right? So here we say that, okay, turn on the TV or turn off the TV. Similarly, understanding the context, we say whether you want to do it for the room or the bathroom or everywhere. We can have those kind of contexts as well, that okay, only switch on the bathroom TV lights or just switch on the room lights and all that stuff. So it gives more context for the bot to understand that what you want. Otherwise it will switch on all. But how do we say that it's these are the commands that the voice assistant is expecting from us, but how does it going to work on top of it is something over here. We have something called completion rules. And what is this completion rules? Completion rules means that the action that is needs to perform would be set up over here. So what are the completion rules? So we say there is a condition. So what is the condition? Let me click on edit. That we need a device to turn on or off, or and what is the subject context. But all so we went through all of these parameters. So we need these values for in order for this to work. But also there is an action associated with it. So we have a condition, we have an action associated with. What is this action? This action is that we are calling API. Remember, I told you about uh, that we have Azure function in my slides. That Azure function is expecting this values, whether it's on and off, and what should be the instance is whether it's a bathroom or the room that we want to work on, and it basically by default it will take as all, and it basically will uh, make the changes accordingly. So let me come back to my presentation. So it might make you more sense, because if I come back to this slide, so we have this custom command, we have this completion rule over here with the custom command, which is we are calling this Azure function, which is not doing nothing but taking the state from Azure table and then updating it. Also, we are updating the PNG files. So right now we are just updating the PNG files. When we say that switch on the TV, so what happens behind the scene is I have two images for this web application. One is switch off TV with the switch off TV, and then one it will switched on TV. So I just update the image behind the scene with this Azure function. But in your actual application, you will send a command with to turn on the TV. I For this demo, we are just going to update it to showcase you the capability of it. So if you see here, we have set up this web endpoint. This is where I have hosted just now. I have hosted with this deploy PSO. We hosted this Azure function and do the deployment there, and it's basically accepting this value and then giving it back to me. So coming back over here, you can also ask which device controls which device is off right now and all that stuff. But talking the biggest or the main part of this system is to understand the completion rule. And let me click on edit over here once again. So on failure, how you're going to handle, we say that we are unable to connect to the room service right now because you made an API call and that API call failed. That means you will not be able to do stuff because API calls are failing. But on success, you will say that for TV, if the TV is on and off, we say, okay, TV, if TV was already on and you ask for it to switch it on again, we say that TV is already on or off. Similarly, if the TV is off and vice versa. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So similarly, we have for AC and we have for lights as well. We have done all our if else. I think everyone over here understand how does if else work, so I don't have to explain those scenarios to you. If this is already on, then tell the user that it's already on. If it's not on, then switch on and all that stuff. So this, the value that we get from the state from the Azure API is written in the response of this application, and then we handle it gracefully over here to work on top of it. So similarly, we have for adjusting the temperature, we have different sentence that we have uh, coded, and then we have temperature over here. 1 second. So we are again here calling the endpoints for finishing the set temperature, correcting the temperature, or whatever, right? So set up uh, we have set up different types. We can say that remember I showed you something like raise the temperature, and the system said that we cannot raise it by this much, and then I told it to raise it by 5 degrees, and it said okay, I'm raising it by 5 degrees. So all those kind of custom commands and custom logic, you can put it over here and then train your application. Now how does it work then? Then once you have this setup over here, then you click on this train. So now what we are doing, the more data that you provide with example scenarios, the better your application or your assistant will work. So if you see Siri working seamlessly, that means the engineers over there have spent a lot of time for Siri to work seamlessly. Similarly for Cortana or any other application like that. So that's why we end up paying a lot of money for virtual assistants. But you can put a lot of data on yourself and then do some custom trainings of this application. I cannot train it. I cannot put this for in like 45 minutes demo, but I've already put it over here with some sample task that I wanted to work with. Similarly, you can have your custom commands and then train it accordingly. Once you train it, the data is already putting into the system, and it only already knows how to work with those data or those scenarios. Then we have this option of testing it. So for testing, it has to be published. So that means whatever stuff that we are telling it to do, right? Uh, for example, change the temperature and all that stuff, and we put it in this example scenarios. Now we have to test it or we have to publish it so that it can be used. You can have multiple versions over here. Like when I'm running, I can add 20 or more lines over here and then train it and then publish it. So the latest one would be used when you are publishing it. So I'm not going to save it. Um, Let me come back here. I don't want to save it. Oh, it's back, so I can save it. Then I can test it. Now, I remember I mentioned to you that we have another way of testing it, this application, and that is through the speech studio. So this is the speech studio that I am in right now. Instead of using this application, the voice assistant client, we can test it from directly from the web browser as well. I personally prefer it this one because it's more, I think it's better to use. I it's purely personal choice that I have, but I prefer to use this one. But you can test it from here as well. You can say hello. Okay, for some reason it give me reply twice. But turn on the AC. Turn on the AC. No response from it. Hello, turn on the AC. Uh, it's just taking a lot of time to come back. So it's turning on the AC. So this is the reason I personally don't like this client, because I think the client that they have built for the Windows is much more fast as compared to this web application. Uh, because if you see from here, turn on the AC. Okay, let's see, the response is much faster as compared to what we have with the web application. But if you're running it on a Mac or something and you don't want to build the code again yourself, because this voice assistant is open source, and I think they have a client for Mac as well. So you can run it and then do it, because what I personally do, I am running it on a Windows machine and I just downloaded this web client, and it's an EHC that I just ran it. It's as simple as that. So this is what we have for our demo. I hope you understand that how does this custom commands work. We basically train this system to work on some custom command, and then there is an action associated with it, and that action is basically performed with the help of these completion rules that we have. Here we are calling web APIs and then do the stuff accordingly. So this can be your custom scenarios that you want to do with your virtual assistant anyhow. So just to show you, I have this. I have this function app built. It's a part of the GitHub demo as well, so you can go there and then download this to go through it. But it's a very simple that I'm taking the data from the storage account, which is here, and I can showcase it to you. How does it look like? So if you go to the tables, virtual room config. So here I'm saying that AC is false, which means it's switched off. Binds is true, binds are switched on. Lights bathroom is true, lights room is true. Television is true, temperature is 85. So these are boolean because turn on and off can only have two values, whether it's switched on or off. So it's similarly true or false. And temperature is a int that I've put in over here. So I just query this data from there and then update the application accordingly. But you can have this table in the same way and then update your actual devices accordingly, because you need to maintain a state somewhere. So let me, and if I just change something from here, it will showcase in the application itself, because application is basically making a poll. Polling is basically when we make a call direct to the database to see if any values have changed and then work on it accordingly. So the application is polling this database here accordingly and then making the adjustment accordingly. And what I have is I have different backgrounds. For example, TV content, the PNG. It will take some time to download, but yeah. Like, see, this is a hack. Like I put this PNG image on top of TV to showcase you that okay, that PNG TV has been switched off. But in actual scenario, you will have the actual TV switching on and off. But the idea or the technology would still be the same, and the effort that you're putting would still be the same. I think we are a bit over time right now. So I will quickly jump back to my slides and go towards the completion of it. You can download this assistant, the Windows tool that I've been using from this URL, and you have a speech SDK that you can use and then build your custom clients as well. So if you want to have it in a Xamarin application or a WPF application, you don't want to use this application. Of course, this is only for testing purposes, but you will need your mobile app to work with your command. So you can build using the speech SDK, and then you can integrate your existing work code, because with your web endpoints. I showed you the web endpoint where we are making a call to the Azure function. So similarly, you can have your own endpoints as well. And you can extend your solution with bot framework using remote skills. So there is something called remote skills, and what it does is basically it can update or do some task for you that you cannot want or don't want to work with the voice assistant. So next over here is just make sure that you have a good voice recognition. You are using a good microphone and then there is no noise, because otherwise you have to train your system about to understand to make this translation work seamlessly. Uh, you have this custom keyword setups as well. What I have not showed you or what I have not completed in this demo, what I wasn't able to complete was to have to say, hey Siri, and to make it activate. Right now, what we are doing it is we are pressing this button and then telling and then giving this voice commands. But we also say to our mobile phone, hey Siri, and then it activates. And what's it? And whenever I'm saying hey Siri, my iPhone is getting activated immediately. So that is also something that we can build. Uh, with this custom keywords, I can tell you about it as well if you want to know how does it work. But then you can have this speech recognition SDKs and then bot framework assistant with it, and it's going to be an integrated solution that you can have either with voice assistant or a bot working together as well. So with that, I am coming to an end of my presentation, and I am now open to question. Meanwhile, I am pointing my slide to showcase. I'm showing a slide which shows you where is my slides.